Welcome back, Noble Nation, to another exciting week of the Noble Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about the new My Hero Academy, Heroes Rising. So basically, the good part about this movie, I thought, was how the students got to go out and be on their own for a while. So we get to see how they handle being able to run a whole island.
Right. Okay. Well, before we dive into that, let's should we start off with the what we would rate it
We can, yeah.
number wise? All right. Well,
Yep.
what would you rate it out of a 10?
I gave that movie a 10 out of 10.
I give it a 10 minus a 3.
Why?
Do you know what number that is?
7.
Yes. But I gave it a 10 because I would watch this movie again. But I know it's not that good enough to deserve a 10. But for us, it's good. So I would watch that movie again. The only downside to it is not a lot of people would probably like it, which is okay. But it still is good. And if you definitely like anime or even watching My Hero Academy, which, I mean, My Hero Academy was very normalized, so there's a big chance that if you watch Adult Swim or when doing Toonami or anything like that, you probably have at least seen commercials about it. But yeah, they did a movie, and we went and saw it in a theater, and it was a bit weird watching anime in a theater.
Yeah, it really was.
But that's okay, don't worry about that. And then, yeah, I would give it a 10 because I would rewatch it again, but I don't think it was that good. It deserves a 10. Definitely better than the first movie. If you watch the first movie, I don't even remember what it was called. I guess Two Heroes.
Two Heroes.
Not good. It was okay, but it wasn't like I needed to watch this. This one was kind of like, you don't need to watch it, but there's cool shit going on. So check it out, you know?
There were certain parts in the movie where I was going to look at you and ask if this movie was canon to the show.
Well, yes. And when I was doing my research to see how many episodes, because I'm not like we got halfway to this theater, and then I was like, "Oh fuck, are we caught up?" And then we were like, "Oh shit!" So I pulled up, I'm like, "What? How many episodes?" And they said after part one of the current season. So I was like, "I think we did that." We weren't all caught up. We were like a little bit behind. We knew most things. It was like there was a weapon change for two people that we didn't know about. Other than that, we were completely caught up.
Yeah.
When I did that, it popped up and goes, "This movie's not in canon." And I was like, oh, okay, so there's no consequences. No one's going to die. No one's going to do this. No one's going to do that. This is a spoiler podcast, so if you don't want to get this movie spoiled, I would suggest clicking away now because we're going to talk about it immensely. But it was a very good movie. We got there, and we started watching it. And then it was weird because you and me walked in, and we sat down. And then these three, like big dudes came in that don't look like they would watch anime. And
Sat a couple rows behind us.
They sat right behind us in three lines. And then this dude and his son came in and sat in front of us. And then we noticed no one was sitting in front of us. And I checked the thing because it's one of these theaters that you can pre-order your seats. And I checked it because the time, it was already starting. And so I checked it to see if anyone was sitting there. And no one was. So we moved up because we're like, we want to sit in the center instead of off to the left. So we came up a row and sat in the center. And then two dudes that were just like us came and sat in front of us. And then a dude and his two kids sat in the front row where you have to look directly up at the screen. And I was like, hey, buddy, there's not that many people in the theater. If you want to like move up to like the back row at least, or you can look down, you can. I don't know why you're all the way up there.
In the neck-breaking seats.
Yeah, I don't know what was up with that. But it was good. No one cheered, no one clapped, so I'm fine with that, thank God. But the movie was great, and I do want to say something. This whole movie, basically, they do a lot of hints, they jab at a lot of things, they go, like, they're like, movie doesn't count, nothing in this movie matters, so it's like, nothing
Anything
matters.
that happens, don't worry about it.
But they did a smart thing where they're like, yeah, nothing matters in this movie. We're just going to say a ton of shit that won't happen in this movie, but will happen outside of this movie. Basically being like, hey, this is coming. We can't do it here because this doesn't count. But we're gonna talk about it. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Why would you do this?
Yes, but they started off with basically a downgraded version of All for One, which is the villain in the movie. Is he can hold up to like 7 quirks.
7 quirks.
He can steal other people's quirks and then make them his own. And so he's kind of like a shitty version of All for One. And he was all like, oh, I'm a bad guy. I'm going to steal some quirks. And as soon as he was like that, I was like, well, this movie's not canon. And every hero in the movie right now is just Class A. So, like, no one's getting their quirks stolen. So I was just like, that's too bad. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. Nothing happens. No one dies. No one gets their quirks stolen. It's a good day. Even with that in mind, they still managed to impress me in the movie. They still managed to pull it off. And I was like, damn. The villain is, because he has the ability to take 7 quirks, still overpowered.
Yeah.
Even though there's like 8 heroes fighting him at like constantly all the time, there's only like 3 or 4 of them. They're all overpowered.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, Mummy Guy gets got, but deserves him right. He was a prick.
Bakugo's always a prick.
No, the Mummy Guy.
Yeah, I know, but Bakugo's always a prick, but yeah, he never gets got.
Yeah, I'm going to explain some fucking big brain details right here. So, right off the bat, Bakugo's doing nothing. He's just chilling while they're all doing a bunch of little small side quests. He's just vibing. Because he wants to do some villain work, but he doesn't give a fuck about anything else. So he's just sitting there. Well, when the villains actually do show up, he ends up getting like, oh, fuck yeah, villains, and he starts fighting. Well, this Mummy Guy has the ability to control tape and like wrap things up and then control items that aren't alive.
Yeah.
So he wraps up Bakugo and starts like using his clothes. So the first thing Bakugo does without hesitation is he has 2 giant grenade gauntlets.
Yes.
That stores up his energy and saves it. And then makes it to where he can actually use it better and like fucking, actually use it in a hero scenario versus villains.
Use it without injuring himself.
Right. And he immediately went, I'm going nuclear on this dude, and blew up his right fucking gauntlet. Hey man, hold on. You getting a call? Hey man, you had a call?
I did have a call.
That's crazy. Anyway, so Bakugo took his gauntlet and he blew up the right one to get out of the mummy thing. Which basically means throughout the whole fucking movie, this kid was playing with his right hand behind his back and he was better than every other hero besides Deku, and Deku was like going 20%. So Bakugo's badass because he was only using one hand the entire movie until he was using both, which we'll get to that. Another thing that's happening is the first time All for One version 2 visited Deku in the woods and he fought him. Deku started throwing wind at him and the dude started using more than one quirk, and then he went to take his quirk. He's like, give me your fucking quirk.
You couldn't do it.
He threw him away and was like, oh. That was hinting at the future. That was one of the scenarios where they're like, we can't really do anything with this in the movie because it doesn't count, but we can fucking talk about it and kind of drop it instantly. And he picked it up and went, what the fuck? I can't take it. It told me no. Why the fuck? Basically, he said, that kid has more than one quirk inside of him, which means, yes, he does. It's kind of not really a spoiler because
kind of already knew this.
Yeah, well, in the manga I know about it. He can have the quirks of the previous people who had All for One. We do not know any of the quirks currently. The manga people do, yes. But you do not from watching the show, and from watching the show I don't. But All Might and his successor, which is that chick.
Yes.
And then everyone behind him, which they started showing us face instead of shadowy figures. They showed us like 3 behind her. And it showed all of them in detail because they're getting ready to go, here's their quirks, and Deku can use them now. So
what?
That's getting
That's
interesting.
Nuts.
Yeah, it is. The wolf guy, I think, is fucking dead.
Oh yeah, there's no way he was living from that.
He died. He was chrono freeze through time.
Well, freaking Icy Hot shoved his whole fist down his throat and went, now free!
He sure did. So that was an interesting battle. It was kind of weird. And then on the flip side of that, the girl, also kind of weird. I don't know what happened to her. I think she died.
I don't know what happened to her either.
The chick with the hair?
I think she died by her own,
Right.
by her being a dumbass and caving in the area.
I guess, yeah, I think so. But then it comes down to the final guy, which is All For One version 2. He's being a guy. He has some cool quirks. He has a weird dragon quirk, which can just summon a blue dragon that looks like a centipede, and it just
Rawr.
deletes people. Talk about being overpowered. That we've had this kid's got like a disease, and so he's trying to get a cell healing quirk, but he can't find the right one. And he finally finds one, but it's for the wrong blood type, so he needs to go kill the kid's son. But he doesn't need to kill him; he just needs to take it.
At first, I didn't know that's what he was after because he like stole it, stood up, and then lightning was hitting everywhere, and I was like, "Oh, so he stole a storm quirk."
Yeah, at first I did that too, but then he started coughing, and he's like, "Shit, it only works with B cell." I was like, "Oh, he's trying to get a healing thing. That boy's got a disease." And he went, he probably got a family. And then they went to the kid, and I was like, "Oh." And then he's like, "Give me the thing." And then Deku, being Deku, was like, "You can literally eat trash, and I would rather die for this kid than let you touch him."
I did like how the movie kind of forced Deku and Bakugo to work together.
Wrong. This is a new era. So it happens in the book, which is also another scenario, like the all mini quirks in Deku. This is where they talk about it or even show it, but they can't really do anything about it. In the books, Deku and Bakugo kind of work together more, and they get really good at it. This is the beginning of that era, and I'm glad because previously it was the first time we met Baku and Deku, it was Bakugo bullying Deku.
Heck yeah.
Then after that, it was Baku ignoring Deku, and that's where we've been for the whole series. And now we've seen a glimpse of them working together, and I'm like, oh, thank God. Everyone can be really good if they work together, and they finally started working together. And then my favorite thing about it was the guy has like these crazy quirks. He's doing real good, but he has like a timer. He runs out of power because the disease tells him no. So in the final battle, they're like, we wear him out. We can just kill him. So they wear him out, and then he just thunder lightnings people, which they use a lightning rod, which is very impressive, which is the lightning rod is Kaminari. But it's very impressive because then they just come up and start kicking the shit out of him again. And they still lose after wearing him out. They're like, our big plan is to wear him out and then kick his ass. And they wore him out. They're like, time to kick it. He's like, annihilate. And I'm like, annihilate. That's how a final boss should be. And instead of like coming up with something smart or letting him get weak,
they let him go Super Saiyan, basically.
They did let Bakugo go Super Saiyan, which is interesting because the way you transfer All For One or One For All
is you have to swallow it.
No, well, All Might gave a piece of his hair to Deku, and Deku ate it, and he's like, "Eat this," and he ate it, and then that's it.
But technically, by that, you still can't. You technically, if you swallow the hair, you still have a chance not to get the power.
Why?
Because I was rewatching the show, and I've been picking up on key details I missed the first time.
Mm-hmm.
When you pass the cork on, you have to be willing to pass the cork on. So if somebody steals your DNA and just eats it, you don't get the cork.
Yeah. That's what he said. But he gave it to Deku willingly. And then Deku ate it. And then, for some reason, Bakugo had a cut on his finger, and Deku's hand was fucking bloody from punching. So he's like, let me rub that in your wound and give you some of my power. And they both become Super Saiyan. And they're like, we're going 100%, both of us. And it was like, oh, geez. And they just beat the shit out of this guy. And he still lived after that because the guy's a fucking legend. But he beat the shit out of this guy. Both of them broke both of their arms.
Oh, yes.
And then they pass out. And then All Might shows up with Hawks. And All Might's all like, oh, you guys are okay. And the Deku gets really sad and is like, I'm sorry I gave away One For All, and now I'm going to be quirkless again, and I won't be a hero, but at least I gave it to someone who's going to need it. And then he was all like, okay. And the kid, Deku, passes out again, and then it's like, he still has the powers, and All Might's like, you didn't transfer, you fucking idiot. And then he was like, oh, it must have been because Bakugo passed out before the process was complete. And also, Deku was such a good person at heart and so kind that All For One or One For All didn't want to leave him and came back to him. And I'm like, you could have just said, it doesn't work through blood, it's just temporary. But I guess doing that, he's good at heart and all that is okay. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. They could have just been like...
I like how Deku can only physically process One For All at 20% of his power.
That's not true. Sometimes he has an airy backpack, and then he's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, unless you have an airy backpack.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he went from 20% to 100% power constantly.
And broke his fucking arms.
He should have broke a lot more than just his arms.
No, he always breaks his arm when he goes 100%. That big scar he has up his arm is from going 100%. Well, it's 100%. He said infinite percent.
No,
He
but I
said-
meant like coursing through his whole body with the
Right.
blue hair. Because I remember when he had the airy backpack,
It was
the only
reducing
reason
him. Yeah.
that he wasn't breaking was because airy was healing his body faster than he could break it, basically.
Yeah, but he wasn't kicking. I think he kicked him once. And it was like, okay. And when he had the airy backpack, he was like kicking and punching and kicking and punching, which was breaking like most of his body. This one, he was just like punching pretty much. And also, you could probably took a little bit of the load off because Bakugo was there helping them, and they were both punching, which is pretty fucking cool.
It was, yeah.
It was rad. Sorry, I had to scare the cat away.
Oh, yeah. You know them rats.
Those fucking ceiling rats dweller Jewish people. Anyway, it was a really good movie. Definitely good. They had a lot of just people chilling, hanging out. When the villain showed up, the villain had a purpose. He wasn't too easily to be defeated. He was pretty fucking strong. The way they did it was reasonable, but cheese. I mean, it wasn't like Deku was like, "Oh man, we're not gonna kick his ass. Here's my power." It was they were both being crushed to death, and they were going to die, and they're like, "I gotta give you my fucking power," and then they did, and then they won, which is really cool. And they introduced Hawks, which is interesting. Hawks is only right now for us in the intro scene whenever we watch an
We
episode.
have not physically seen him in any part of the show.
He's not in an episode yet, which I'm excited for him because I like Hawks. But yeah.
Another thing I liked from the island, though,
Yes.
is after Deku and Bakugo were laying there on the ground, Bakugo woke up with no memory and went,
Yes.
"What the fuck happened to my arm?"
Yes, he did. Which I mean, I think you would put two and two together from knowing that Deku had that exact scenario happen to him. You think Deku would be or Bakugo would be like, "I bet I probably did what Deku did somehow and broke my fucking arm." But that's okay. Another thing, I said he lived. They went basically 200% all for one on this dude's ass, and the dude lived. And then Shikigari just showed up and went, "I need you to turn to ash, buddy." And just turned him, just fucking slaughtered him, and went, "I gotta go," and then left. And I was like, "That's not menacingly. I don't know why you did that, buddy. What the hell?" And he's like, "Yeah, I gotta see ya." And then he just pissed off, and I was like, "Okay." Right in the beginning, they did introduce the League of Villains. They had the League of Villains there. They were doing some damage control, trying to just export this guy's body, I think. And then they showed Endeavor with body armor, which increases his
looked
flames.
amazing.
Right. I don't know if that's movie and not real, or if we haven't gotten there yet and they haven't introduced it to us yet. But that was pretty cool. And it was right in the beginning. And we never really seen anything from the school. It was just they're on an island because they need to be safe. It's a safe procedure.
Well, they showed a clip, but it wasn't like the school. It was just
It was like
Eraserhead.
All
going
Might
like,
and
this
Eraserhead.
is your assignment.
Well, yeah. Did they do the? No, that was a different. I was like, did they do the festival? No, that's the episode we watched after that.
Yeah.
Right. Festival's happening.
Which I'm excited.
Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, that was pretty much the movie. Definitely,
It was, yep.
definitely worth it. The first one, not as much. This one is definitely worth it. I would watch it again, but there's people that don't like anime, and I gotta keep that in account. So I'd probably give it like an 8. But 8 with a definite watch. So it's like a 10 minus 2 is what I would say it as. Because 10 means I would watch it, but minus 2 for the people that don't like superhero movies. There's people that don't like anime, and that's it.
Yeah.
If you don't like superhero movies, that's minus 1 point. If you don't like anime, that's minus another point, which leaves it at an 8 for me. But I would definitely watch it again because it was pretty damn good.
Absolutely. I'm still going to keep it at a 10.
Yeah. I would keep it at a 10, but I cannot.
Understandable.
But that's all good. Definitely worth it. And it was weird watching anime in a theater. It was like confusing.
Yeah, it was definitely a weird experience.
Yeah, it was a cool experience.
All right, Noble Nation, we'll see you next week. Hopefully. Don't know what we're going to be talking about. Probably a movie, show, or whatever we recently watch and feel like needs to be talked about. See you next time in Noble Nation. Bye.
You and your friends are dead.